Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, Jabalpur. He has completed his PhD in the year 2008. His thesis title is Fault Assessment in Spur and Helical Gear using Vibration and Tribological Analysis. And he has completed his MTech degree in Maintenance Engineering under the Visvesvaraya Technological University, Mysore. His UG is in National Institute of Engineering, University of Mysore during the year 1999. So his research interest is tribology, hydrodynamic lubrication and elastrohydrodynamic lubrication of conformal and non-conformal contacts, fatigue and failure studies, nanotribology, cutting tool tribology, bio-based hybrid lubricants, heat treatment process, surface characterization, wear particles, vibration analysis and signal processing applied to machine condition monitoring, structural health monitoring using thermography. On his contribution, he has presented more than 100 papers in the reputed journal and conferences. Now, he is among us today to give delivery a lecture on introduction to sensor and signal processing techniques for condition monitoring of rotating machines. I welcome you, sir, for this faculty development program sponsored by AICT, sir. Over to.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Window.
Amarnath, sir, you can hand out.
So, good morning, all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, all of you. Good morning. So, yeah, so I will be discussing on a basic introduction to sensor signal processing technique for condition monitoring of rotating machines. So, my introduction is given by sir. Yeah. So before we go into our discussion, let us look into the advantages of condition monitoring program in industry. Since we are all engineers basically, we should know the advantages. Then only we will take up that particular research. Research in condition monitoring. Two diagrams are shown in figure, two XY plots. The first one is industry where condition monitoring program is not implemented. So because of that reason, over a period of time, there is increasing cash flow in the fashion. Okay? Because frequent failures will be there, replacements, all those reasons, there will be increasing cash flow over a period of time. Second diagram, the case where industry condition monitoring program is implemented.
Sorry, sorry for interruption. Sir, your voice is breaking, sir, not audible.
Oh. How to solve that problem, sir?
Now it is working.
Is it okay? Is it? It's okay. Yeah, I have increased the volume.
Okay, it's okay, sir.
Sorry. Yeah. So second diagram shows the case where condition monitoring program has been implemented in industry. Of course, it takes some installation costs for sensor, data acquisition system, equipment, and so on. Over a period of time, we can minimize the cash flow in this fashion. So this is the basic advantage of condition monitoring program in industry. Okay. Diagram 1 shows no condition monitoring program because of increasing cash flow. Diagram 2 shows condition monitoring program. In the presence of condition monitoring program, we can minimize the cash flow. So this is the basic. This is the importance of a condition monitoring program, implementing condition monitoring program in industry. I think with this background, let me start my presentation. Yeah. So you can find the application of condition monitoring program in various industries like energy, aviation, naval, manufacturing. So in various industry, we will find the applications of condition monitoring program like vibration analysis, soil analysis, thermography, and so on. So these are the most commonly used sensors in condition monitoring. Like, we have accelerometers, we have microphone, displacement probe. In addition to this, there are several sensors that we'll be discussing. The next slide. Okay, so let us discuss the application of these sensors in various machines. The first one is aviation. Like, you can mount accelerometer on a helicopter gearbox to get the details of health of gear pinion. Okay, so the most common cause of helicopter accident is failure of gearbox. About more than 80% of the cases, there will be failure in transmission system. So which leads to accidents of helicopters. So how to acquire vibration signals from helicopter gearbox? As I showed you in the previous slide, this is accelerometer, which give the details of acceleration. To measure vibration, we basically use three sensors: displacement probe, velocity probe, and accelerometer. Probe, right? So based on our requirement, based on problem under investigation, we are going to choose the sensor. So for this particular case, accelerometer has been mounted on the helicopter gearbox. Okay, we will get the time domain signal in this form. So time domain signal is basically variation of amplitude with respect to time. In the time domain diagram, you can see in a y-axis we have acceleration amplitude. In x-axis we have time. So this is the basic time domain signal. So further, you can use this time domain signal for various signal processing techniques that we discuss later. This is one application. And we can also use accelerometer in manufacturing process to monitor the tool wear. So figure B shows the application of accelerometer in machining on cutting tool. Cutting tool used in turning operation. Accelerometer is mounted on a tool holder to get the details of wear propagation on cutting tool insert. So flank wear is the most important one. We are supposed to minimize flank wear, or we are supposed to monitor the flank wear, because it affects the overall performance of machining. So for that purpose, accelerometer has been mounted on cutting tool holder. So further, we get time domain signal. It is used for signal processing techniques like Fourier transform, short-term Fourier transform, wavelet analysis, and so on. So to get the basic vibration signal from cutting tool operation, accelerometer is mounted on cutting tool holder. Diagram C shows application of accelerometer, handheld accelerometer, to monitor the vibration signal from induction motor. That is, C is also showing application of accelerometer, that is handheld accelerometer, hand mount accelerometer. Figure D shows application of accelerometer in drilling operation, drilling or milling operation. And figure E shows accelerometers are mounted on blades of horizontal axis wind turbine. To get the details of structural vibrations of blades mounted in horizontal axis wind turbine, accelerometers are used. So these are some applications of accelerometer where signals play a pivotal role to get the details of operating conditions. Is my voice is audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So let us discuss the applications one by one. I said there are three basic instruments: accelerometer, velocity probe, and a displacement probe. So these are some applications of accelerometer. And displacement. So we have some applications of displacement probe. Basically, we use this displacement probe in monitoring the health of journal bearing. So journal bearing, basically it is used in most of the rotating machines like turbines, IC engines and all. Okay. So to monitor the health of a journal bearing, we use displacement probes. So those displacement probes are mounted at a particular angle, okay, 45° from central axis, which will give the details of operating condition of journal bearing. Let us see how. So in a turbine, okay, if the shaft needs balancing, it will give you the details of operating condition. No, this is called as orbit analysis. These are the results obtained from journal bearing, journal bearing operating condition through displacement probes mounted on the journal bearing housing in this fashion. Okay, so the displacement probe will give the details of balancing. Okay, then oil whirl, oil whip. Okay, you can see the phase mark for oil whirl in that fashion, 2 phase marks. Okay, in oil whip there are multiple phase marks. Okay, if there is a light rub, you will get this kind of signature, and for heavy rub. So these are the some operating conditions found by using displacement probe in journal bearing system. Fine. So this orbit analysis is also called as banana plot. It looks like banana. So it looks like banana. So it is also called as banana plot. These are so these are some results of obtained from a displacement probe. Okay, which will give you the operating conditions of a journal bearing. So coming to the ultrasonic sensors, the vibration sensors we discussed so far, it is used for vibration frequency which is less than 20 kilohertz. Okay, so all these machinery vibrations, we can consider the sampling frequency less than 20 kilohertz. There are certain applications we need to go beyond 20 kilohertz. For example, structural health monitoring. Okay, structural health monitoring or tool wear propagation in machining operation, or IC engine wear propagation in piston cylinder, wear propagation on piston rings mounted in cylinder. So for all such cases, we need to go for high frequency signal analysis. For such applications, we are going to use ultrasonic technique, ultrasonic sensors. So these are the some application where diagram shows ultrasonic sensors. Okay, so here we have transmitter and receiver. Transmitter will transmit the frequency of high frequency signal, then receiver receives those signals. Okay, if in between there is in the path of transmission and receiving, if there is a fault, then the fault will be diagnosed using ultrasonic sensor, ultrasonic technique. Okay, this diagram shows structural health monitoring using ultrasonic sensor. This is transmitter sensor, receiver sensor. If there is a fault in this path, then that fault is diagnosed by the receiving sensor. So ultrasonic sensors are basically used. Ultrasonic sensors are basically used for applications where frequency requirement is beyond 20 kilohertz, whereas vibration sensor below 20 hertz, ultrasonic and acoustic sensors beyond 20 kilohertz. Let us look into the applications of ultrasonic sensor. So flaw detection in aircraft engine blades. Okay, quick assessment of pregnancy, biomedical applications, flaw detection in petroleum pipelines. These are some typical applications of ultrasonic sensors. So which will go beyond 20 kilohertz. Further, there are certain applications where we need the sampling frequency in megahertz. Okay, so vibration sensor below 20 kilohertz, ultrasonic beyond 20 kilohertz. And if the signal information is needed in megahertz, like 1 megahertz, 5 megahertz, etc., we will be considering acoustic emission sensor. Okay, acoustic emission is very simple. If a material is loaded, tensile load is there, then stress waves are going to generate. To acquire those stress waves, we will be using acoustic emission sensors. Okay, so the sensor acquires the signals in megahertz, like 1 to 10 megahertz. So this is very much essential in acquiring the acoustic emission sensors from cutting tool, so which is subjected for cutting operations like drilling, milling, turning operation, etc. And it is also very useful in monitoring the wear in engine components, like wear propagation on piston rings, or wear propagation in cylinder liner. Okay, for such applications, acoustic emission sensor is a suitable one. And crack propagation in high-speed rotating shaft, for that particular application also we'll be using acoustic emission sensor. Why? Because cracks or fittings will be propagating it from micron level. So to acquire details of cracks which are being propagated in micron level, it is appropriate to use acoustic emission sensor. Right? So we started with vibration accelerometer, vibration monitoring using accelerometer, then a displacement probe. For a high frequency application, ultrasonic sensors beyond 20 kilohertz, and applications, there are certain applications where we need high frequency signal monitoring. So in megahertz, for such applications, we are using acoustic emission sensors. Okay. So further, there are some applications where these sensors may not be appropriate, like structural health monitoring. I mean, internal defects like defects in casting, right, blowholes, etc. We will be using thermography. So there is no universal technique to detect all defects in engineering systems. Okay, so the particular technique depends upon the problem under investigation. So here is one such application, thermography. So the thermography is some internal flaws in composite structures or castings or welding defects, etc. Will be detected by using thermography. So basically, thermography uses IR camera, which will give the details of images of flaws hidden in the structure. It can be metallic plate or a concrete structure or composite structure and so on. So the procedure is very simple. We need to excite the specimen, okay, by applying heat. So for supplying heat, we are halogen we use to supply the heat.
Excuse me, sir. Your voice
Yes, sir.
is not clear, sir. Voice is breaking now. So, some echo is interrupting, sir.
Is it okay, sir, now?
No, not clear, sir.
Hello?
Now it's okay, sir. Now it's okay, sir.
Maybe signal problem, I don't know. Here.
Oh, still breaking, sir. Your voice.
Fine. Still breaking. So, how to solve these problems, sir? Shall I
This is okay.
open the door or will I come
This
out?
is okay, sir.
1 second, sir. Let me open the door. Is it okay, sir,
it's
now?
clear, sir. Very clear, sir.
Yeah, I opened the door. Maybe that is the reason. Okay, fine. So we are discussing application of thermography, which is basically used to detect structural defects. Like we have composite structures, some castings, metallic structures, etc. So for that purpose, we are using this thermography technique. So IR infrared camera has been used for this purpose. So then we are, in this particular application, we are supposed to excite the structure by providing heat. Okay, so for that purpose, we are using halogen lamp in a controlled operating condition. So once it reaches to temperature of around 50 to 60 degree, the structure has been excited. At that particular stage, the IR camera is going to capture the image from the structure under investigation. So if flaws are present in the structure, then those flaws were revealed in IR images. Okay, so I can show you some results obtained from the IR images. Okay, so application of thermography, some structural faults in aviation application, aeroplane. Okay, so temperature difference. Okay, temperature difference in a transformer, and moisture detection in naval applications, biomedical applications to detect tumors, etc. Okay, so this is the IR thermography technique used to detect structural defects. So as I said, there is no universal technique to detect faults in engineering applications. Selection of particular technique depends on problem under investigation. So any queries in this? So we have discussed some 3-4 sensors techniques in fault detection.
Sir, can we use any other sensor for thermography, sir?
Thermography, yeah, sir. It's basically it works on IR infrared radiation fundamentals. IR camera is there, and the handheld cameras are also there, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like non-contact type, like they are monitoring temperature. No, in the COVID, they are monitoring temperature. Yeah. That also works like principle.
Okay.
That is also infrared ray.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So it works on Stephen Boltzmann law, sir. Like
yeah.
You know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Some applications. So now let us focus our discussions on applications of vibration and sound acoustic sound acoustic sensor, that is sound level meters, used to detect faults in gears and bearings. Okay, so there are 3 approaches used to detect faults in rotating machines: vibration, oil wear particle analysis, and acoustic signal analysis techniques. Okay, so the beauty of these techniques, it will give you the faults in the early stage, which is called as incipient fault detection. So it is there is no point in detecting the faults in advanced stage. It is appropriate to detect the faults in incipient stage, early stage. So these sensors play a key role in detecting the faults in incipient stage. So what are the techniques? Vibration and acoustics in conjunction with the oil analysis. So basically in industries, they use only one technique, like vibration signal analysis alone. Okay, it will give you about 40 to 50% of diagnostic information. If you integrate 2 to 3 techniques like vibration acoustics in conjunction with oil analysis, then you will get the reliable information about 80 to 90% on the fault propagation in machineries. So we are integrating the techniques here. So noise measurement, sound pressure is the local pressure deviation from ambient atmospheric pressure caused by sound wave. Okay, so the sound level is the logarithmic measure of effective sound pressure of sound wave relative to reference value, which is given by the equation PRMS by P reference, which will be in decibels. Okay, so these are the sensors used to acquire sound signals from the systems, mechanical systems. Okay, so microphone. So microphone is attached to some data acquisition level meter. Okay, device used to measure sound pressure. So in addition to this, there are some other sensors. It is called as kurtosis meter. Kurtosis meter will give the kurtosis value. Kurtosis value is fourth order statistical parameter in statistics. Okay, it will give the details of fault propagation in the mechanical systems. So earlier kurtosis meters were used to get kurtosis value. Now it is not required. You acquire the signal, load in MATLAB, you will get the kurtosis value. Okay, there are number of softwares are available to get the statistical parameters. Even you can use Excel also. Excel, MATLAB, Sigmaplot, Origin, and so on. So this is old technique. So that there was a kurtosis meter. Simply the kurtosis meter was kept on rotating machine. I mean bearing housing to get the details of vibration severity. So if the kurtosis value is less than 3, then we can say the machine is operating in good condition. If it is exceeding beyond 3, then there is, you can say there is some problem in rotating machine. This is how we will estimate the fault severity in machines, rotating machines. There is this is one more technique called as spike energy meter. Okay, spike energy sensor will give details of impact of flaws in bearing. So results are shown. Okay, all these results were published in one of my papers. Okay, so for healthy case, figure shows the bearing defects in bearing. Second diagram shows the other diagram shows air amplitudes where there is a severe fault in bearing system. It is called spike energy meter. It gives the details of spikes. The spikes are related to faults. As faults propagate, spikes are going to increase. So to monitor such spikes, we are using spike energy meter. All these are old techniques. So let us focus on advancements, recent advancements in signal processing technique, which is topic of this presentation. So there are various techniques available. We are considering vibration signal analysis. Why? Because it gives the details of insight on the operating condition of equipment. Okay, so by using by inspecting physical characteristics of vibration signals, it is possible to detect the presence of fault in operating machine, particularly in the incipient stage. If you implement some signal processing techniques, advanced signal processing techniques like STFT or wavelet analysis, it is possible to detect the faults in incipient stage, early stage, rather than advanced stage fault detection. So these are some typical vibration plots. Okay, typical plots of vibration signals. It is called as time domain plot of vibration signal. So y-axis shows the amplitude and x-axis shows time. Okay, x-y axis amplitude and time respectively. So as I said, vibration signal analysis will give you the details of physical insight of the system. You mount the accelerometer on a particular machine, acquire the vibration signal. If amplitudes are low, you can say the machine is operating in good condition. If the amplitudes are high, then you can say machine is operating in faulty condition. Okay, such plots are shown in figure. Okay, so for a healthy operating condition, amplitudes are low. For faulty gear, amplitudes are high. But our job is to locate the fault in a complex machinery. What is complex machinery? For example, IC engine. IC engine consists of piston, crankshaft, camshaft, right? Then gearbox. So I want to locate the fault. Where exactly the fault is occurring in the complex machinery. For that reason, I am supposed to consider some other signal processing, some advanced signal processing techniques like wavelet analysis, etc. So the basic signal processing technique is acquire vibration signals, extract statistical feature, and go for fast Fourier transform. So fast Fourier transform will give the details of amplitude versus frequency, time domain will give you the details of amplitude versus time, whereas frequency domain will give you the details of amplitude versus frequency. So in amplitude versus frequency plot, I will be able to locate the faults. Locate the exact location. I will be able to find the exact location of fault in rotating machinery. Because as I said, the rotating machinery, complex rotating machinery consists of several machine components: gears, bearings, general bearings, camshaft, crankshaft, piston, and so on. So for such applications, we are supposed to use signal processing techniques. This is the basic time domain technique, which will give you only amplitude versus time, that is physical insight of the system, healthy or faulty. But to locate the fault, I am supposed to use signal processing techniques. So from these time domain signals, you can extract the statistical parameters such as root mean square, crest factor, QNS, kurtosis, energy ratio, impulse factor. These are the basic statistical parameters used to detect faults in rotating machinery. Of course, these parameters can be given as inputs to classification techniques like neural network, support vector machine, genetic algorithms, and so on. Okay, so these are for to acquire these to extract these for statistical features. We can use MATLAB, Origin, Sigma plot, even Excel also serve the purpose. So Excel will give you, so Excel, which is already installed in our laptops, will give you the details of statistical parameters from the vibration signals. So some basic definitions of a statistical parameter. So RMS will give the details of primary health of rotating machine. It is used to track overall noise levels. So this is the equation. RMS is given by under root. Okay, these are basics. So further peak levels. So its maximum peak is the maximum peak value. Okay, maximum peak value in time domain signal. So maximum peak, then crest factor is defined as the ratio of peak to peak value divided by RMS. So crest factor is important statistical parameter used to estimate the fault severity in the rotating machine. Then kurtosis is the fourth normalized central moment. It measures whether the data are peaked or flat relative to normal distribution. The kurtosis will be around 3 for healthy mechanical systems, gears, bearings, etc. And the value goes beyond 3 based on the fault severity. Yeah, so these are some methods of accelerometer mounting methods. Okay, you cannot mount accelerometer just like that. We have to follow certain rules. Okay, do's and don'ts are shown. Always we are supposed to mount the accelerometer always on central axis of bearing housing. So ideal location to mount the accelerometer is bearing housing. Okay, central axis, particularly central axis. It should be straight. Okay, so orientation should not be there. It should be mounted on central axis in this fashion as shown in figure. Okay, some don'ts are also there. If it is the going here and there on central axis, that is not advisable. Okay, so some precautions to be taken to mount accelerometer on rotating machines. Sir, any questions, sir, in my discussions?
Participants, please can raise questions. Sir, whether if the triaxial accelerometers are used, in that case also the same thing, sir? We can kept exactly at the center of the axis? Triaxial.
Yes. Procedure is same, but it will give you the details of vibrations in 3 directions.
Okay.
According to the type of mechanical system, you can consider the signals. For example, if you are mounting accelerometer on roller bearing housing, okay,
Yes, sir.
since the geometry of roller bearing, you can consider the vibrations in x-axis, sorry,
Yes.
vertical axis.
Yes, sir.
If you are mounting the accelerometer on what is that helical gearbox,
Yes, sir.
there the dominant vibrations will be in x direction, axial direction,
Yes, sir.
right? There you are supposed to consider axial direction.
Oh,
Okay. So similarly, taper roller bearing vertical direction, taper roller bearing axial vibration, axial direction.
yes, sir.
That way you can select, I mean, consider the directions.
Okay,
So it
sir.
is based on the type of machinery which you are considered for your monitoring program.
Yes, sir. Understood.
So these are some methods of mounting accelerometer. Okay, so handheld probe, so which is already shown in one of my previous slides. Okay, to monitor the vibration signals from a induction motor. And this one, the first one is hand probe accelerometer, right? This is the hand probe accelerometer. So this is used where the location is not accessible. So for that particular application, we are going to use handheld probe type of mounting method. Okay. Then coming to magnet base, okay, then adhesive mount and stud mount. So normally we go for stud mounting applications in the case of machinery. So which is the which will give you the most desirable response compared to other mounting techniques. So in stud mounting techniques, we are going to drill a small hole, then we are going to tap. Okay, we use tap to make internal threads according to the thread dimensions of thread given in the accelerometer. Okay, then stud mounting is most reliable one. But there are some applications where we are not going to use stud. For example, if you want to measure the vibrations of a turbine blade, it is not possible to drill a hole, right? So for such applications, we are going to use either magnet base mount or adhesive mounting methods. Normally, for complex machinery, we are going to use the stud mounting method. And magnetic base mount method is also used in acquisition of vibration signals from a tool holder. Okay. So based on the system, we are going to select the mounting method. So signal processing, yes, we can acquire vibration signal, vibration statistical parameter, then frequency spectrum analysis. Let us use this technique for some realistic applications. So these experiments were conducted on two-stage helical gearbox. The details are available in the publication showed at the bottom of this slide. Okay. So full details are available there. So here two-stage helical gearbox was used for condition to detect the faults in helical gear. Okay. So helical gearbox is driven by three-phase induction motor. Okay, the output of helical gearbox is given to DC motor. Okay, so if you give electric input to DC motor, it will give mechanical output. If you give mechanical output, then it gives electrical output from the DC motor, right? So the output of gearbox is given to DC motor, that is mechanical output is given to DC motor, and electric output has been taken from the DC motor using resistor bank. Okay, there are several techniques to load the gearbox. So particularly this kind of loading will minimize the vibrations on the gearbox. Okay, if you use some dynamometer, etc., it causes some additional vibrations. To minimize those vibrations, the electric loading has been given to gearbox. Okay. And you can see the sensors mounted on accelerometer. Sorry, sensors mounted on gearbox. Accelerometer is mounted on bearing housing. Microphone is also used. Displacement probe is also used here. So displacement probe is used to get the details of pulses. Okay. that will be used along with the vibration signal to get the details of vibration in one rotation. So the tachometer displacement probe will give you one pulse for one rotation of gear shaft. So that will be considered to get the details of vibration signal related to one rotation of pinion. I will show you the results. So zoomed view of sensors. Okay, vibration sensor, accelerometer mounted on bearing housing. Then displacement probe is also shaft. Hot on shaft. So for every rotation, one pulse will be there in the displacement signal. Okay, that particular pulse is considered to get the details of one rotation of vibration signal. Then microphone is also used in conjunction with vibration, because both vibration and sound go hand in hand. Okay, if noise is more, vibration is more. Noise is less, normally vibration is less. So that is the concept of this condition monitoring technique. So here faults were simulated on the helical gear tooth in percentage wise. Okay, so from healthy condition, 5%, 10%, 20, 40, 60, 80, and one tooth removal is considered as 100% tooth removal fault. So these are the data system sensors. Okay. So Agilent vibration signal analyzer was used to acquire vibration signals. So those signals can be stored in this equipment. So stored signals were further used for signal processing technique. Now fault simulation. So there are two types of types are available to simulate the faults. So first one is cracked tooth, okay, which mimics realistic faults in industrial environment, right? So why we are simulating fault? Because overhaul time for new gearbox is more than 1 year. So it is very difficult to study the fault. It is very difficult to implement fault detection procedure up to 1 year. So what we do, we are going to simulate the fault. That is one method. Then the second method is we overload the gearbox. Okay, so overload the gearbox up to 4 to 5 times than the allowable load. Then because of we call that technique as accelerated load. So we are going to apply the accelerated load to gearbox to accelerate the fault propagation on the gear tooth contact. Two techniques. First one is simulate the fault. Second one, are you overload the gearbox. So because of that overload, faults are going to accelerate within short duration. Okay. So the simplest approach is a partial tooth removal. So this simulates the damage due to breakage at a point on a working tip. This type of fault is most common in many industrial applications. So let us see how. Yeah. So this is a kind of simulation of fault. So we started to remove the fault in percentage wise. At the end, one complete tooth was removed. So this is the line diagram where you can see the simulation of fault, healthy gear, percentage wise removal of fault up to 100%. Okay, these details are available in the publication showed in the bottom. Yeah. As I said, we have considered both sound and vibration sensor, okay, microphone to acquire sound signals and accelerometer to acquire vibration signals. So these are the some statistical parameters extracted from sound and vibration signals. So vibration signal kurtosis is showing increase in trend. Okay, so this is the crest factor, and this is acoustic signal, kurtosis values of acoustic signal. Okay, likewise we considered both sound and vibration signals to get the fault propagation details in two-stage helical gearbox. For this particular case, faults were simulated on the gear tooth. Okay, fault were simulated, which mimics the local faults on the gear tooth. So this is RMS value of vibration signal and acoustic value of vibration signals. Of course, some variations are there in acoustic values, acoustic signals, but you can see the overall increase in trend. Here also you can see the overall increase in trend in acoustic signals. So the vibration signals will give you the gradual increase in trend. Acoustic signals, overall increase in trend. So these are the statistical parameters which will say whether the machine is working in a healthy condition or faulty condition, right? So to get the location of fault, I give you the example of complex machinery. Various machine elements are there. So which machine element is going in wrong direction? For that reason, we are going to use signal processing techniques. Let us see what is that. So the basic signal processing technique is time domain signals. We can extract statistical parameter. Further, we can go for frequency analysis, Fourier transform, which is given by this equation. So Fourier transform is amplitude versus frequency. Okay. In rotating machinery, we have rotating machine elements. Almost all machine elements are rotating at a particular speed, frequency. So each and every machine element in a complex machinery has some frequencies. So those frequencies can be found using some empirical equations. Okay. So the frequency values found using those empirical equations can be are appearing on the x-axis, that is frequency axis in the frequency domain plot. If there are any if faults are propagating on those rotating machine elements, can be diagnosed using those frequency values which are appearing on the frequency domain. So that is the basics of this frequency domain analysis. For example, a gearbox is having 25 teeth on pinion, and it is rotating around 2100 rpm. Okay, we can find out the gear mesh frequencies. It is called as gear mesh frequency. To detect the fault in gear mounted in a complex machinery, we can go for gear vibration analysis by considering gear mesh frequency. What is gear mesh frequency? Gear mesh frequency is the frequency at which the gear rotates. Okay, so to find out that the gear mesh frequency, there is a simple equation: number of teeth on pinion multiplied by RPM divided by 60 will give you the gear mesh frequency. So for this particular case, okay, the gear is rotating at 2100 RPM. The number of pinion on gear teeth are about 25. Okay, I am supposed to find out the gear mesh frequency in frequency domain. How to do that? So I calculate gear mesh frequency. The gear mesh frequency turns out to be 910 10 hertz. Okay, so that 910 hertz amplitude is shown in frequency domain. So these amplitudes are going to increase based on the severity of fault on gear teeth. So that is the background of this frequency domain analysis. So frequency is a plot of amplitude versus frequency. So frequency amplitudes of a particular machine element is going to increase based on its fault severity. So it is very simple. You acquire the vibration signal in time domain form, use some plotting software such as MATLAB, Origin plot or Sigma plot, which are available, okay, freely available, or you can request the company to give you the 1 month trial version. Okay, so using those softwares, you can plot the vibration signals, Fourier transform of vibration signal. Okay, these are the basics. Sorry, yeah, these are the basic equations: time domain, frequency domain. Okay, this is typical frequency plot of gear mesh frequency acquired from a gearbox. Yeah. So to acquire vibration signals, sampling frequency is very important. Sampling frequency is based on the problem under investigation, like the machine which your machine under investigation. If the machine is low frequency, if the gearbox is rotating at 100 rpm, you need not go for high sampling frequency. If the turbine is rotating at 60,000 rpm, then you are supposed to go for high frequency. Okay, normally the biomedical signals are around 50 to 60 hertz or 100 hertz, below 100 hertz, because the frequency of biomedical applications is very less. Whereas turbine rotates at 60,000 rpm, then you are supposed to go for high frequency signal analysis. So the sampling frequency is given by this equation 1 by T into number of sampling points. T is time, because the time is shown in x-axis of time domain signal, and number of sampling point depends on your requirement. Okay, so normally we follow Nyquist criteria, sampling frequency be at least twice the highest frequency contained in the signal. So that is the basis of this. Nyquist criteria has been used to decide the sampling frequency, right? So time domain signal and frequency domain signal. So sampling frequency is based on your problem under investigation. That's it. So we have considered a two-stage gearbox, gearbox. Time domain and frequency domain are shown, healthy and faulty gear, and time domain of frequency domain of healthy gear, right? Amplitudes are low. So for this particular case, the gear mesh frequency was around 300 hertz. So for healthy case, amplitudes are low at around 300 hertz. For defective case, the amplitudes are increasing on gear mesh frequencies 1 and 2. So these are the gear mesh frequency 1 and multiple of gear mesh frequency. So gear mesh frequency into 2, it is called as multiples or harmonics of gear mesh frequency. Harmonics in the sense which are appearing at equal at multiples of the gear mesh frequency value 1, 2, 3, 4. Like if your gear mesh frequency is 3, multiples in the sense 3, 600, 300 hertz, 600 hertz, 900 hertz, 1200 hertz, and so on. So if severity is too high, then the amplitudes are increasing at gear mesh frequency multiples of gear mesh frequencies. Okay, and this is for healthy case and defective case. So we have removed 10% tooth. So frequency amplitude increasing at gear mesh frequency, and for 100% removed case, it is increasing, right? So time domain. Okay, time domain value, time domain plot for healthy gearbox, and time domain plot is varied because of, amplitudes are varied because of faults, and amplitudes are too high in the case of, a defective gear, and frequency amplitudes are also too high because of faults in the gearbox, simulated. So for this particular case, we have used simulated faults. So these results as far as gear faults are concerned. So we can also consider bearings to detect the bearings in fault diagnosis. So bearing is a bit complex machine element. It has 4 components: inner race, outer race, and so sir, any doubts in the in my discussions in fault diagnosis of gears? You can ask now because we are running out of time.
No, sir. You proceed, sir. We will.
Later we can discuss.
Yes, sir. We will discuss.
Yeah. So as far as bearing is concerned, bearing is a bit complex machine elements compared to gear because it has inner race, outer race, and roller and cage. So 4 components are there, right? So here experiments were carried out on bearing mounted in centrifugal pump. Okay, the same procedure was used. Accelerometer was mounted on the bearing housing, and microphone was kept near to the bearing housing, which is called as near field condition. So which is most commonly used to acquire the vibration signals from rotating machine elements. Okay, so the faults were simulated on inner race and outer race of roller bearing in this fashion. So EDM technique was used to simulate the faults, because to mimic the realistic faults, we are supposed to simulate fault in micron level, like 300 micron, 400 micron, in that range. So for that purpose, we have used EDM technique. So these are the typical time domain signals extracted from vibration, extracted from roller bearing, ball bearing mounted in centrifugal pump. Okay, healthy and faulty. So as I told you, time domain will give you the signal, physical insight of the system only. So to locate the fault, we are supposed to use frequency domain. Okay. So in frequency domain, again, frequency, we will be analyzing the frequency content of the signal. Okay. For gear fault detection, we have used gear mesh frequency. Gear mesh frequency is found by multiplying a number of teeth on pinion into RPM of the shaft divided by 60. Whereas here, there are empirical equations established to find out the faults in ball or roller bearing. Okay, so Fi inner race fault defects on inner race, F0 for outer race defect, Fb for ball or roller, and Fc is for cage defect. So these empirical equations are used to get the details of faults developed on various components of ball or roller bearing. Okay, so in this particular case, we have considered 4 operating conditions: healthy bearing, inner race fault, outer race fault, 1 defect on outer race and 2 defects on outer race. So as number of defects are increasing, the fault severity is also going to increase. Let us look into the results. So these are the frequency domain obtained by using Fourier transform. Okay, for healthy bearing, the amplitudes are not that much. Okay, for outer race defect, you can see the increasing amplitude at around 80 hertz, because outer race fault characteristic frequency was found around 90 hertz. So 90, and particular harmonic, at a particular harmonic, there is increase in outer race frequency. F0 and 2F0 are found there. Okay. Then at a inner race frequency was found around 149 hertz. You can see the increase in faults at that particular frequency, increase in amplitudes at that particular frequency. So this is how we are supposed to implement the condition monitoring program on to detect faults in roller bearing. Time domain signal. So frequencies based on the empirical equations. So fault assessment on inner race and outer race. So all these techniques are called as conventional techniques. Okay, time domain, extraction of statistical feature, frequency domain are called as conventional techniques. There are some advancements in this. Okay, so let us discuss wavelengths. Some advancement. One technique is that, there are several techniques are available, like short-term Fourier transform, empirical mode decomposition, ensemble empirical mode decomposition, wavelength analysis, and so on. So one technique is wavelength analysis. Some advancements we can discuss. Okay. So this I'm giving the reason why to consider wavelength transform. So time domain will give you the information of time components. Okay, frequency domain, frequency related components, and shorter for STFT is there, where you can combine both time and frequency, but there is one drawback. So you can see the fixed window size in the frequency domain, in STFT. Okay, so we are clubbing both time and frequency domain in STFT, which is called as short time Fourier transform. But there is one drawback. Drawback is fixed windows. Fixed window size in the frequency STFT short term Fourier transform. So which is not appropriate to detect the transients in the vibration signals. So to overcome this problem, so wavelength transform has been used. So here you can see the varying window size. Okay, window size is varying based on the scale. So further details of wavelet transform. In the wave, basically it's a window function. Okay, time frequency window function. So better window frequency resolution is available at the bottom. Okay, better time resolution is available, I mean, at the higher frequencies. So this frequency, it's I mean, the wavelet analysis is basically frequency resolution analysis. We will get the various window sizes in this wavelet function. That way, it is useful to detect the faults in vibration signals. It is called as multi-resolution analysis. It's a time frequency plot which has various window sizes. The various window size will help you to give much better diagnostic information than the time frequency domain analysis. Okay. So here in frequency time domain information, we will give the amplitude variation of amplitude versus time. Okay. Fault severity, healthy or defective. In the frequency domain, we can find out the fault location. So there is one technique which can combine both time and frequency. That is your STFT analysis. Short time Fourier transform. In short time Fourier transform, fixed window issue is there. Sorry. To overcome the fixed window, we can use wavelet transform. In wavelet transform, there are various window sizes are available. Okay, it is called as multi-resolution analysis. It is basically window function. It is more appropriate for transient vibration signals because we come across with the transient phenomena in vibration signals. Okay, these are some mathematics behind of wavelet transform. Okay, so here basically we are using dilation and translation functions in this window function. Dilation and translation. Okay, so this is basic wavelet equation. Okay, so what is happening in the wavelet? Translation and dilation of waves. So the details of translation and dilation is given in this equation. Okay, B and A. Okay, so the translation, moving the wavelet from one location to the other location is called as translation. And dilation, we are dilating the wavelet. We are stretching the wave function. Okay, these things are happening in this equation. So we are going to set these values in the wavelet toolbox according to our convenience. According to the characteristics of vibration signal, we can use this function, translation and dilation. Right? Now, there are various wavelets available in MATLAB toolbox. Like, we have Morlet wavelet, Gaussian, Mexican hat, Debouches wavelet. Which wavelet is suitable for this particular application? That we are supposed to decide at the initial stage. Okay. For example, earthquake signals, Gaussian wavelet is more suitable. Whereas for biomedical signals, Debouches wavelets are suitable. So for missionary vibration signal analysis, Morlet wavelet is suitable. Why? We are supposed to give justification. Okay. So this is a Morlet wavelet function. Okay. This is where basically a shape of window used in Morlet wavelet. So this is a typical vibration signal. So if you zoom the vibration content in the vibration signal of a gearbox, we will get this one. Okay, the zoomed information of vibration signal. So transients are available in you can see the transients in vibration signal. These transients are similar to the Morlet wavelet window function. Okay, that's why we are considering Morlet wavelet for this particular application. The transient is similar to shape of Morlet wavelet. That's why we are considering wavelet for this Morlet wavelet for this particular application. So this wavelet technique was used on a gearbox. It's a special type of big gearbox used to conduct fatigue tests. Okay, this is called as back-to-back power recirculation type gearbox. So it is different from conventional gearbox. In what way? For example, in conventional gearbox, if you increase the load in a dynamometer, you are supposed to vary the speed. So that issue is not there in this back-to-back power recirculation type gearbox. So back-to-back power recirculation gearbox is basically a two gearboxes, okay, coupled by using special type of coupling called torque coupling. So this is a test gearbox or slave gearbox. These two gearboxes are connected using rigid coupling, and this one special type of coupling called torque coupling, torque adjustment coupling. So here, once you load the gearbox, speed is fixed for various loadings. Whereas in conventional gearbox, you are supposed to vary the speed as load increases. So that issue is not there in this particular gearbox. This is also called as FZG gearbox, developed by Germans. Okay, so this is universally used to conduct fatigue tests on gears. There are very few test rigs are available. One is at IIT Madras, one more is at IIT Delhi, and some gear laboratories is available. Okay, this is a photograph and schematic diagram of a 3D view of gearbox, back-to-back gearbox. Okay, so this is the loading arm used to load the gearbox. Here, as I said, two techniques are available to simulate the fault. One is tooth removal, removal of tooth material on the gear. The other one is loading accelerated test conditions. Accelerated test condition in the sense you are going to overload the gear at least 4 to 5 times than the allowable load. Then because of that overload, surface fatigue wear is going to accelerate on the gear teeth contact. So we have conducted one such experiment. So in this experiment, we have overloaded the gearbox by 4 to 5 times than the allowable load using this loading arrangement. So because of that overload, surface fatigue fault was accelerated during short duration, about 200 to 300 hours. The surface faults are going to accelerate. Surface fatigue faults are going to accelerate. These are time domain, signal and frequency domain of healthy and worn gears. Time domain, as I said, amplitudes are increased. In frequency domain, the frequency, gear mesh frequency amplitudes are increased at first and second harmonic of gear mesh frequency. Time domain and frequency domain. Okay, so these are the wavelet 3D wavelet plots of healthy and faulty gears. Okay, experiments were conducted over a period of 216 hours. Okay, so because the gearbox was overloaded by 5 times than the allowable load, the surface fatigue wear has propagated. So such information is found using, gear fault severity information was found using a wavelet technique rather than your frequency domain analysis. Why? Because wavelet technique will give you the 3D information and much better information than the Fourier transform. Okay, here you can see 3 axes: time, frequency, as well as energy. Energy is going to increase as the fault propagates on the gear teeth contact. So as I said, experiments were carried out over a period of 216 hours. For a healthy gear, diagram wavelet plot is shown in figure A. D after 36 hours, 3 72 hours, C 108 hours. Okay, so then D after 144 hours, 180 hours, and 216 hours. So the purpose of using this particular technique is to enhance the diagnostic information compared to your conventional techniques like time domain, statistical features, frequency domain, etc. So this is about signal processing technique, wavelet signal processing technique to extract the fault related information. The conclusion is, so we started with conventional techniques like time domain analysis, extraction of statistical feature and frequency domain. Okay. So further wavelet analysis will give better diagnostic information than the conventional techniques. Okay. So I have developed some low cost test tricks, because some MNC companies are charging too high, lakhs of rupees. So the same test tricks you can fabricate in your laboratory with minimum funds like 40 below 50,000. You can have a better, good condition monitoring test trick. So so in that view, there is a roller bearing test trick. Oil lubricated or gears lubricated bearing test trick. The cost is around 30 to 40,000. Okay, so this test trick is used to conduct fatigue tests on roller bearing or ball bearing. Gearbox, a single stage per gear gearbox, to conduct tribological tests. Further, a journal bearing test trick is also developed in my laboratory. Those who are interested, they can contact me. They can visit my laboratory to. You can also conduct some tests, experiments, if time permits. Okay. So these are low cost test tricks basically to conduct vibration and tribological experiments on machine elements like gears, bearings, etc. Sir, that's all, sir. Thanks. And now you are open to discussions.
Yes, sir. Participants, please raise some questions.
Any other clarification?
I have questions, sir.
Yes, ask.
Yes.
Sir, for gearbox
So
analysis,
still, I think 4 to 5
octave analysis
subtopics are
and
there.
order
The
tracking
first
is
unit,
required
once we
or not?
complete the first unit, the study material along with the syllabus. I
Sir,
think
please
shortly
repeat.
we will
One can talk.
Not here.
the first unit.
Octave analysis and
Basically,
order tracking for
the
gearbox
notes,
analysis.
printed notes.
Uh-huh.
Google Classroom.
Is that required other than the wavelet? This one.
Please little bit
Slides,
louder.
maybe continue.
These sensors are enough.
We
This
have-
tachometer, vibration, accelerometer, these basic sensors are enough to go ahead with your order tracking analysis of gearbox.
Sir, what setup that you have for gearbox is meant for all types of gears or only spur gears, sir?
All types of gears. I mean gearbox. Gearbox are sensors. Talking about
Gearbox.
sensors.
Gearbox made up of spur gears or any other gears?
This is spur gear. Of course, you can replace this with helical gears. No issues.
Okay, sir. Because the location of sensor only it will differ, sir, in case of helical gear and spur gear.
Yes, helical gear you are supposed to mount in axial direction.
Yes, sir.
Spur gear radial.
Okay.
On the pinion, yeah, on the bearing housing, yes.
Setup may be same, only the location of sensor is totally different, sir.
Location of sensor on the bearing housing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So gear is mounted on bearing, no?
Yes, sir.
So based on the requirement, roller or taper roller. So for helical gears, I think you're supposed to use taper roller bearing.
Yes, sir.
Per gear, based on the application, you will change the bearing.
Okay, sir. Sir, the setup for a hydrodynamic bearing and journal bearing is different, sir. You have shown two different experimental setup. One is
Yeah.
for journal bearing and another one is for roller bearing.
Roller bearing, yeah, both are different. Both are
Both are
different.
different, sir.
You can see that. Yeah, both are different. So we are also working on materials, modification of material properties,
Yes.
bearing material properties using microwave treatment. So for that purpose, this testing has been established. It's very simple. You can establish this within 30 or 40,000 rupees.
Okay. So that rheological fluid you are using in that next diagram, sir.
This one,
Next one, sir. Right, sir.
roller bearing. This
yeah.
one, this is SAE oil.
Rheology. Oh, for
So we are focusing on lubricant thickness analysis, like using steeping curve. Okay. Film thickness analysis has been considered. For that purpose, the bearing is immersed in oil tank.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To
This is
provide
continuous. It is a journal bearing, sir.
So this one is roller bearing, ball or roller bearing. Yeah, this one is general bearing. You can see the difference, clear difference.
Okay.
Sir, is it
Roller
possible?
bearing. Please.
Sir, is it possible to conduct the test on the sliding bearing also in your laboratories? And
Vibration test. Yes, it is possible.
any type of consultancy you are providing for sliding bearing testing, experimental testing?
No, I don't know, we are not, but we are having all the sensors and equipments with us. If we get any consultancy, definitely we will proceed.
Okay, sure. Thank you, sir.
Any other question? Any other question? So no other question means we will wind up the session, sir. Participants, do you want to ask any more questions? Sir, somebody asked one question, whether single channel analyzer or dual channel analyzer used to detect the fault in bearings.
Sir, you repeat the question, sir. Dual channel analyzer, what is that?
Channel analyzer or dual channel analyzer. Dual channel analyzer or single channel analyzer.
No. Single and dual are old. Now we have a minimum 8.
8 channels.
8 channels are there. Okay, 8 channel analyzer. Of course, we are making use of 2 or 3, not more than that. Okay. So 32 channel analyzer is also available. You can use 32 sensors in parallel. Okay. So for this purpose, it depends on the sensor. Like, if you are using one accelerometer on microphone, 2 channels are enough. Right? If you are using displacement probe, you can add 1 more, like that. So the channel depends on number of sensors.
Okay. So for modern analysis only, I think they are using a multi-channel analyzer, sir. Yeah,
it depends on sensors. If they are mounting several sensors, then you are supposed to use several. Number of channels are increased.
Okay.
Based on number of sensors. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether 8 or 32 or 2. Your number of sensor matters.
Okay.
I don't think there is much difference in 2 sensor or 8 sensor.
Okay, sir.
To my knowledge, nowadays minimum 8 channels data acquisition systems are available. Okay, with with 3-4 lakhs, you will get one good acquisition system.
Yes, sir. Any more questions? Okay, no question means we will wind up the session. Sir, on behalf of Kongu Engineering College and the AICT Adult Program Academy, I thank Dr. M. Amarnath, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, Jabalpur, to participate in this program and given a wonderful lecture on the introduction of sensors and signal processing techniques, different techniques they are used, and also he has explained the different sensors and where it will be located to get a better signal for condition monitoring of rotating machinery. Thank you very much, sir. Most of the participants
Thank you, sir.
get a very good knowledge on this about sensors and procedure for condition monitoring, that too particularly for bearing and gearbox applications. Thank you once again for your participation in this ATAL program, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.